This video is sponsored by Notion. How often do you set your decisions aside because making a decision is just too stressful? How often do you procrastinate on making a choice, approaching a certain project, or making a big life decision because you can't stop thinking about all the possible outcomes and consequences of your actions? You avoid your problem and your decision because you don't want to be held responsible for the outcomes of that decision. Well, if you're like me, that happens basically all the time, even when you're pretty much aware of it. Overthinking and overanalyzing and then not being able to reach a decision is actually a phenomenon called analysis paralysis. So why is this actually bad for you? It's bad because as you engage in analysis paralysis and you train and practice to do that for small, tiny decisions, you're going to have a hard time making impactful, big decisions in your life. So we'll learn today about 5 effective strategies to stop this process and actually take action. Analysis paralysis is the result of something called the paradox of choice. There are thousands of options for the simplest choices in life, from the yogurt brand you're eating, to the show you're watching in the evening, to the next book in your collection. The paradox of choice is simple to understand. When you have 10 different options in front of you, you believe it will be pretty easy to pick a good option because there's a higher probability that one of those 10 options will match your requirements. However, it's actually better to be presented with only 2 or 3 options. This drastically reduces decision fatigue because the whole thought process you're using to decide gets cut in a fraction, shortening your decision-making process and helping you act faster. Your criteria of satisfaction or unsatisfaction when making a choice is pretty much tied to our constant need to be perfect. This happens because nowadays we are educated to strive and we also engage a lot in social comparison. Okay, but is there any actual way you can avoid this problem? Okay, so when making a choice, there are 2 different paths you can make. You can choose to feel satisfied, which means you're making an option that is acceptable and already fulfills your goals. Or you can choose to maximize your output, meaning you're trying to find the best possible choice out of all the available options. And we tend to go for this a later perspective, and that's because of our culture. We don't really want to be good enough, we want to be the best, and that's actually a problem. And here's another problem. Our idea of making the best possible choice comes from the fact that we constantly engage in upward social comparison. So we look at the people that we believe are more successful, richer, more beautiful than us. And when we do that analysis, our mind tells us the following. That person is in that position because they made the right choices. So if I make the exact same choices, I'll be in the same position. If I don't make the same choices, I'll be in a worse position. However, this is really not truth. There are thousands of micro little details and facts that shape someone's path. Furthermore, that person you've just mentioned, you may believe that person is successful, but maybe if you are in that person's shoes, you'll feel miserable. And that's because success is very subjective. And also, we never really know what's going on in someone else's life. So here are your active strategies you can start employing now to stop overthinking for once and for all. Okay, so whenever I feel overwhelmed because I have too many options, I try to reduce my pool of choices. So I try to put myself in a situation where I don't have as many things available for me to choose. Usually this requires some sort of accountability mechanism, but it's a fantastic way for you to make decisions on the spot. If you're buying something, ask for help in a store. For me, that's a great way to make decisions. I'm so socially awkward. I'll just feel pressure to make a decision because I feel I'm bothering the person who's helping me. So I'll just stop caring about the best possible option and just make my purchase. And 99% of the time this happened, I was pretty happy with the result. Another thing you can do is ask someone else to reduce the pool of choices for you, because that person will not have the same kind of emotional attachment to the problem. They'll basically present you with 2 or 3 already great options, really reducing the number of options you have to think about and making the process so much more efficient. Setting values is an incredibly important exercise that may take only 15 minutes and completely changes the game when it comes to making choices in your life. So grab a piece of paper and list the 3 main values in your life, but be detailed. Make sure that list is easy to refer back to, either on a vision board as your desktop screensaver or as a quick note on your phone. When you have to make a choice, look at your lists. Does it even impact any of your values? If it doesn't, don't even bother thinking too much about it and use one of the remaining strategies in the video. If it does impact your values, just do the typical classic regret exercise. Fast forward 10 years and think about the moment where you are today. What do you regret the most choosing? Is there any kind of option that would make you feel more positive in 10 years or more negative in 10 years? And let this kind of understanding guide your choice. 2 heads think better than 1. I know that sounds so cliche, but I'm telling you it's true. I cannot tell you how many times in my life I've actually reached a decision because I bothered to share my troubles, my doubts, my anxieties with someone else who helped me make that decision. And sometimes that person met my questions with, "Oh, isn't this just obvious?" Because it was obvious, but I was self-doubting myself so much. I was feeling so pressured and overwhelmed with so many choices. I actually couldn't see how simple the outcome actually was. And if you find it very difficult to find someone to share this process with, just be your own best friend and journal the process. I'll be linking down below a printable sheet with a lot of prompts for you to work on when making a decision. This is a resource you can use multiple times in your life, whether it's to buy your next computer or to decide if you need to change career paths. It's completely free, so all you have to do is click that download button in the description box. We tend to feel regret when we make a decision that ends up having a bad outcome. But the thing is, sometimes that bad outcome was just bound to happen, independently of your initial decision. The experience of regretting a decision because you experienced a negative emotion after a decision influences many people to avoid making those decisions, increasing your tendency to overthink in most cases. However, in life, our decisions usually don't really dictate our future. They simply open and close different sub-decisions and sub-options in our lives. And remember the journaling prompt printable I just mentioned? I also created a digital template of that same exercise that you can duplicate and fill out directly in your own Notion workspace. If you're looking for the perfect software to help you organize your entire life, achieve your goals, and live a life aligned with your values, Notion can help you with that and so much more. Notion can be used individually or to collaborate with other people. You can organize anything in your life with all of its templates and tools, including habit trackers, journaling pages, keeping track of personal projects, work schedules, birthdays, networking events, cleaning chores, and so much more. You can use and explore Notion anytime you want and for as long as you like because their personal plan is literally free, with absolutely no restrictions or strings attached. It's the best investment you can make and it doesn't cost a cent. To start using Notion today and get your free account, you can go to the link in the description box or you can click the button on the screen right now. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video and I will see you next week. Bye guys!